Hi, welcome to Reykjavík Grapevine Newscast. My name is Valur Grettisson. I'm an editor-in-chief at Reykjavík Grapevine. Pollý is here, eager to get some frisbee action. We will get there. That was good. Wow. She is, well, okay. We get it better. Anyways, just before we start, I wanted to tell you a little bit more about the membership that we have, this YouTube membership. This is quite the leap that we're taking here, actually, and we're very thankful that you are you have been very positive about this, and that's fantastic. It's also kind of our way just to try to tell you we want to invest a little bit more in both you and what we're doing right here. We feel like this is both helping and has some possibility to grow, of course. Also, it's important to keep in mind. I mean, all of this stuff costs money, and I mean, I understand that it's not something that we are throwing around these days. We are flat broke, of course, but we are not excluding anyone. That's not the Icelandic style. We are very classless system. We hate classes, actually. This doesn't mean that if you're not a part of it, that you won't get anything. It's just because we are a little bit experimenting right now, means that we are gonna post some of these videos a little bit earlier for members, but it will all be open for everyone else, of course, a few weeks later, 2 days perhaps. We haven't really thought that much through. Also, the newscast will, of course, always be for free, so this will never be something that will be excluded or anything like that. But we are, of course, now doing something we call Supernatural Iceland. I wanted to tell you a little bit more about for example, our folklores, and I'm building this a lot on it's an old book by Jón Magnússon. I think in English it's just like Icelandic folk tales and fairy tales, and it's like all of the stories about the elves and the ghosts and trolls and warlocks and whatnot. And we have, of course, a very rich history of this, but there's going to be more also. We want to show you. We want to teach you a little bit in Icelandic, perhaps, in a practical way, and we have a lot of ideas, of course. So the more you support us, the more we can do, of course. So it's okay. So it's like I think it could be beneficial for all of us. So just keep in mind, if not now, then perhaps later. If not ever, we understand completely, and we will not be offended or anything by that. So, but I have a ton of news for you today, and Pollý needs her exercise for sure. I'll try to remember to throw a little bit for her. Yeah, bitte. Yeah. So, let's go on with the news. I'm gonna start off with a little bit weird story. I'm telling you this because it just caught my interest the other day. It's incredibly interesting. Yeah, perhaps before we start, we're here in Laugardalur. It's the valley in the middle of the city, and there's a lot of, you can actually camp here. This facility is for travelers. It's actually quite nice. But there is another reason that we are actually here, and I'll tell you a little bit later on about it. But the first thing I want to tell you about is an old playwright called, his name was Guðmundur Kamban. This guy, he was killed in 1945 by the Danish resistance in Denmark, in Copenhagen, because they thought that he was, well, the killing was quite clumsy, to be honest. They thought that he was I wouldn't say a spy, but that he was helping the Germans when they occupied Denmark. And this guy, he was like, when the Germans were going away in 1945 from Denmark, the resistance were trying to interrogate him, but he resisted and didn't want to go with them. So he was actually shot in some confusion on the street, and he died. This guy was a very well-known playwright, not only in Iceland, but in Europe also. And he wrote a few very famous Icelandic plays. Nothing that you probably know, but if you want to look it up, then Guðmundur Kamban, I'll write the name in the text below. This guy though, because he was quite a famous writer, there was like a memorial shield, I guess, which was on the house that he lived in Denmark, and he lived the longest time in Denmark. He even wrote in Denmark, Danish, not the most beautiful language, but we have to suffice. Oh, yeah, the fall is here, by the way. But the thing is that his memorial shield, I think I'm saying this right, was actually removed by the residents of the house that lived there. The reason was more or less because there was a very heated discussion last summer in Denmark if a man that ate the Nazis should have a shield like that. But it's really hard, for example, the resistance that was fighting for Denmark in the Second World War to have their own names as a memorial. So the shield was taken down. But the thing is, it became more heated because there is not much that indicates that Guðmundur was actually a Nazi or helping the Nazi at all. The only thing is that he was a neighbor to this Jewish Danish man that was arrested by the Germans, and he was accused. Guðmundur Kamban was accused for telling the Nazis about this man, and therefore his descendants have been very vocal about this memorial memorial shield. So the shield is going to be delivered to Iceland to the to the foreign ministry. And it's a odd and tough history for Icelanders, because a lot of Icelanders were actually they were very positive against for the Nazi party. Even in Denmark, we had Icelandic man who was very powerful within the Nazi party, and he was the son of the president of Iceland at the time. So it was like it's a discussion that is interesting in Iceland. Also, I'm not sure. Well, basically, nobody's really sure about Guðmundur, because we know that the Germans actually liked the man, and they gave him like research grants and so on, and therefore he was said to be like perhaps even like an insider, not a spy. It was nothing like exciting like that. But historians have said that there are no Icelandic historians, by the way, have said there are no indications that he was actually working for the Germans in any way, or even like their ideology at all. So Icelanders are, yeah, when you hit the news, Icelanders were kind of like confused and a little bit angry about this, also because this guy is like one of our like biggest playwrights and poets in the 20th century. So, I mean, you would understand perhaps that Icelanders were a little bit offended, but that said, it's not clear if the guy was working with the Nazis or not. If he was working with them, then nobody cares. If not, then it's of course unfair. Also, when he was killed, and that was interesting, the man that killed him was never went on to trial. And even today, there was a historian that wrote a book about this in 2005. And he actually got the names of the people that were trying to interrogate him and finally shot him, but he was banned to reveal the names. So it's an odd history. Anyways, this is what Icelanders are thinking about right now. To the ground, the earth. The earth is shaking a lot. We have not felt that many earthquakes here in Reykjavík, but you can always see it on Pollý. Once you get restless, then there are obviously some earthquakes going on, although we don't feel it, but they do. But we have had over 10,000 earthquakes around Keilir the past 2 weeks. Keilir is of course just a few kilometers from Laugardalur, which is the volcano. And therefore it's like the geologists and volcanologists, I have no idea how to say that. They say that the magma is obviously pushing up there, but they don't see the land rising. and therefore it's very unclear what's happening there. They think there could be a new volcano. If there will be a new volcano, that means that it will be much more powerful than the one that we already have. And also the one that we already have, Fagradalsfjall, is completely dormant. But it's like completely, it's like there is some fire in there and there is some gas, but it's not very much of a show right now. Not like it was putting on earlier this year. But that, of course, is not the only place that is shaking. We also have a lot of activity in Askja. I told you about this a few weeks ago. And Askja is, of course, like in the highlands. It's like in the southeast of Iceland. It's like behind the Vatnajökull glacier, basically. And if you want to go there, you have to do it more or less over the summer, because it's like up in the highland. And the highland in Iceland is very different from everything you see here. There is not a single grass there. Nothing is green. It's very rocky, very harsh, and very primitive, if you want. So, but that area, the land there, has risen by 14 centimeters in just few weeks. And that's a lot, actually, especially when it comes to land. That means that they think that there is a magma intrusion happening there, and that will lead to a volcano. But the volcano there will probably not be any like ash volcano, but it could. We're not sure, of course. Nobody really knows anything about this. They say both could happen, but it's more likely than not it will be like like this traditional volcano, like in Fagradalsfjall, but could be like stronger, could be worse, and so on. So it's going to be interesting to see it, also because I mentioned this before, like having two volcanoes at the same time active is something that we haven't seen for, well, I haven't seen in my lifetime at least. I'm not sure if there is, if this has happened for hundreds of years. Also, in Ljósufjöll in Snæfellsnes. You all know Snæfellsnes, right? This is where like our most beautiful glacier, in my opinion, is. And it's so famous that it became like a part of Jules Verne's like novel, sci-fi novel, about going to the center of the earth. And that area is in some ways very magical, I have to say, even like mystic, and it has a lot of like mystic history. But there are mountains there we call Ljósufjöll. It could be translated as like the light mountains. And these mountains are starting to shake, and it's very unusual, to be honest. We haven't seen this activity there for probably centuries. There have been more earthquakes in this area now than past 12 years. And this could be indication that Ljósufjöll would go off, but it's not going to go off tomorrow, even not next year. This volcano, this volcano has gone off around 23 times past 10,000 years. We're here. Where do you want to go? Art doesn't care. So this means that if it goes off, it's not going to be a violent eruption. It's going to be, again, pretty similar to the one that we had in having Fagradalsfjall, but there could be a lot of lava, of course, and change a lot for Snæfellsnes. But everyone who's been to Snæfellsnes have seen that the area is not that populated. There are few towns there, but they're all by the seaside, and those towns are like on the other side. The mountains are here, the seaside is here. It's like, so it's like, I'm not sure if there is anything in danger or anything like that there, but it could be definitely interesting. It's like, there's a lot of activity going on in Iceland right now. And then to idiots. Here's the thing. I told you about this. Don't walk on the lava, right? it's more dangerous than you think. A man was caught at the top of the volcano in Fagradalsfjall. A helicopter got an image of the person where he is standing on the edges of the volcano. And not only is this dangerous, it's because of the volcanic activity, but it's also the fall alone. It's like around 100 meters down. It's like falling down Hallgrímskirkja in Iceland. It's insane. Also, the lava, of course, it can be like with a very thin, crisp and crust, right? And therefore, it could be like very, very deadly if you're walking there, and you could fall like down like meters. Not only that, but the lava is, of course, like knives. If you go down, you could cut your legs like so incredibly badly that that could be a problem. And also, if that happens, the search and rescue teams are probably not going to come after you. If they see that it's like being like in a quicksand, it's the same. You don't just go into the quicksand to save someone. It could be a very complicated rescue effort. And therefore, but this guy, he actually managed to go all the way to the top of the mountain. And I have to say, I haven't seen that before. And perhaps it's because of lack of performance by the volcano. I mean, I understand that people are excited and want something more and so on, but it's just you really need to understand the danger here. And not only this, because if you're actually standing this close to the volcano, you're literally on the top of it, and you have like 100 meters down, but then you have the gas also. You have this. What is it, like sulfuric, sulfur dioxide pollution. This is dangerous stuff. This means that if you actually inhale this, it will damage your lungs for life. And it doesn't matter how old you are or anything, you will have to live with this forever. So thankfully there is not that much of gas pollution going on there, but there is gas pollution. And if you're going way too close to it, you could be doing yourself more damage than not, and it's not only about like all the other ways to die there. Then if you survive this, then you perhaps just gonna have to deal with bad lungs for the rest of your life. So like, just don't do it. It's I mean, for Icelanders it goes without saying, of course, but but I guess not everybody is completely aware of this, how dangerous this is, and how much you're playing with your own life just by going there. Because if anything happens, it's going to be a very bad situation. Also, Icelanders, we believe in like common sense. Icelanders have very strong culture actually of common sense, and this means. This means that we don't have like this. I've often seen this actually in the comment section and often in discussion with tourists in Iceland, that we don't have this strong nanny state feeling, and that means that it's because the government they trust Icelanders to basically be safe about things, and we are almost always safe about things because. We understand the nature, we understand how ugly things can get and how quickly, and therefore it's like it's imprinted in us like from since we were children. Yes, and then to the League of Legends. That's actually the reason we're here. You see this house here, we used to use this for vaccination, and of course all the nation was more or less vaccinated there. But right now, this is used as a tournament for a game called League of Legends. I have to be truthful here, I had no idea what this was before. But then of course I have YouTube and I checked it out, and it actually seems quite fun. It's a game, it's a strategy game with like a role play elements in it, I guess. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly or not. But it's a game that people come together. There are hundreds of young people in here playing this game. And what's most interesting about it is that it's probably like as popular as like watching Eurovision or even like just watching like the World Cup. It's huge. Just in 2019, there were 100 million to watch the final battle, I guess, or final game in this tournament. And 100 million, of course, is quite something. And they did it like for 4 weeks. And they think that in total the viewers will be like between 200 and 300 millions, which is shocking, to be honest. Icelanders are very excited about this because not only is this like exchange, what do you call it, like exchange basically money in the pockets of Icelanders in currency, but it's also like an incredible opportunity just to promote Iceland, and therefore we are like incredibly thankful for this opportunity. And it's interesting, although incredibly nerdy, but then again, like I have a 13-year-old kid and I just ask him when I have no idea what I'm talking about, and he just tells me like, this is huge, just don't worry about it. So, and finally, cinema. I don't know if you heard about this movie. It's called The Lamp in English. In Icelandic it's dýrið, but dýrið means animal actually. It's a different word, for obvious reason if you see the movie. This movie actually is the first Icelandic movie that like, I don't know, like breaks the glass ceiling in the US box office, because it's a very artistic movie. And it was premiered in the US last weekend in almost 600 cinemas, and it earned around $1 million, and it was in the 5th place the day it was premiered. It's now in the 8th place, and it's something that we have never seen in Iceland before when it comes to cinema. Of course, we had a review about this movie in our last magazine issue. And it's I have to say, it's really interesting movie. It's even got like the prize of originality in the uncertain regard category in Cannes. That was earlier this year. And there's a lot of buzz about this movie, and the director as well, which is Valdimar Jóhannesson. And it's quite something. So if you're tired of James Bond, which is actually a fantastic movie, I saw it the other day, or The Free Guy, which is also a fantastic movie. I saw it also the other day. I like movies, and I watch everything from the very indie stuff to something else. Then you should definitely check out The Lamp. But this is it for us today. Pollý is making friends, so that's nice. Yeah, just remember, of course, the membership. I mean, no pressure, but if you want to check it out, just check it out. If you want to think about it. But we are definitely here to be here, and we want to do more. And you have already actually helped us get to this stage of things. So we want to take it a little bit further and see if we can give you more fun information about Iceland that is not perhaps only news. So until next time, just goodbye and live long. Hi.
Bye.
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 Að koma? Já, þetta ekki bara halda fram hjá mér?